Hey, what's up you guys? Today we're doing a art tour of my Inktober things and 2 speed drawings, so let's get started. First up we have day 1, which was poisonous. I kind of went with poison mushrooms on this. I wanted to do sort of an ink thing with purple. If I had to change anything about this, I would change the fact that the eye sun is like slightly squint. It's not a big thing, but it kind of drives me a little nuts now. This was day 2, which was tranquil. I quite like how I did the sky. I think I've definitely seen people do like really cool photo manipulations to look kind of like this, where it's like there's like a mountainscape in a cup of tea, so I was kind of inspired by that idea. Day 3 was roast, and I had no idea what to do with this, so I thought of, like a pot roast, and then my slightly morbid sense of humor took over, and we end up with vegetables slowly either enjoying or fearing their own death. This was Spell. This is a modification of a tattoo I actually have on my arm. You may have seen bits of it in some of my previous videos. I did add to this one, so like my tattoo doesn't actually have the middle one go 4 times, it's only 3, but I quite enjoyed that. This is chicken. I do not draw chickens well. I'm not really an animal drawer, but hoping to get better. This was around when I started getting really into the idea of playing with the contrasts and the textures I could bring out of black, but very specifically the contrast. And this was the day that I moved over to the Drawtober prompts. I found them more inspiring because it's October and I want to be creepy, so this was Bloodsucker. I really wanted to go with like a Nosferatu type. I'm not super happy with the hands, but I do like the creepy expression. That really does it for me. Next we have Grin Reaper, which I thought was kind of a cool thing. I really wanted to do a pinup look. I'm very into Morticia Addams, so I was kind of trying to channel her with the body and then the like disembodied head. I really like the way the inky blood stuff comes up and down. I wanted it to kind of look like it was coming out of the neck, but I don't know if it quite works. Then we had Hidden Face. I wanted to do something where someone didn't have a face. And I was still kind of thinking pinup and the sort of Morticia look, and I love ball gowns. Technically, this is not historically accurate to any period, really. It could be Victorian, but it's not quite right. Anyway, this is what you guys saw last week, Haunted Toy Box. I still think this might be one of my favorites that I've done so far, because I think it kind of pushed me outside my general wheelhouse. Although drawing creepy dolls is kind of my wheelhouse. Do I have a wheelhouse? Why do people have houses for wheels anyway? So this was the next one, which was Ghoul Drool. I wanted to draw like a ghoulish character who was drooling over somebody that she wanted to maybe eat and or love. I really played with the white gel pen with this one because originally the drool was all shaded and then I didn't like it. I actually drew this today. This is Poison Hollow. And again, poison makes me think of mushrooms. I really like the skull that's like floating up. Like I really, really like it. I really like the shape of it. It's so cool. And then this is not an Inktober one or a Drawtober one, but is a fan art of my friend's novel that she's working on. I drew it as a present. It's a scene where these 2 characters are going into these catacombs and they discover the person who's supposed to be leading them there, but she's been killed by a monster. It's like this weird tree thing. Anyway, this is into today's speed drawings. So I went actually back to the Inktober prompts with Drain, which is day 21. I have missed a lot of prompts, but I'm trying. It's my first year. And with this one, I really wanted to... I couldn't come up with... I saw, like, some people did some really cool stuff with, like, drains and creepy things going down drains, but when I thought about it, I really wanted to do something with, like, a vampire, because it was, like, it's Halloween. And instead of, like, a vampire draining, a young ingenue, I wanted to draw like Adonis. The idea of this guy being like so taken with himself that he doesn't notice that this vampire is like about to drain him of blood. And I wanted the vampire to look very Nosferatu, so it's very simplified. Whereas he's all like, "Hello. Oh, I am too gorgeous. You will faint at the sight of me." Yeah. And like I said earlier, I've been trying to really play with like really dark black, you know, and the really high contrast. So that was something that I was thinking about when I was coming up with this piece. And as you see, here's the finished version, which I quite like. I'm trying to get better at drawing dudes. Their bodies are so angular, it just doesn't make any sense. Muscles, man, what are they? Anyway, this was Bone Cutter, and it was the Drawtober one. I actually used the front of my watercolor pad of paper, like the cover of it, the back of that, to draw this on, because might as well use all the paper, man. This might not make a lot of sense for the prompt Bone Cutter, but my basic idea was that, you know, I was thinking bone saw, and then I was thinking saw, and then I was like, well, what if we had a lumberjack and they were cutting wood, but the wood was actually like, looks like bone on the inside, and there was blood everywhere, and that basically turned into like tree murder, the illustration. Sometimes I'm not entirely sure where my ideas come from, but that one's pretty straightforward, right guys? Come on. I mean, bone cutter, tree murder, these things are basically related, right? Something I did in this that I wasn't super pleased with was that I made the saw black because I really wanted the contrast, but then when I started painting it, I realized that I didn't quite like how dark it was, especially because it just kind of mashed in with the blood. So I ended up trying to fix that later with some white gouache, or was it watercolor? I think it was watercolor. I don't think I used the gouache. I've been using a really cheap set of watercolors because I'm more used to gouache, and I'm trying to get better with like ink washes and watercolor washes and all of that. I have a book from the library about techniques. I mean, this whole channel is about me trying to, you know, push myself and get better, so let's try. My issue with color is that while I do have a degree in art and I've done a lot of different styles and different things, in terms of color, I've really only done graphic design where you know, for logos and stuff, and like corporate work where you tend to have very flat colors or you have gradients. You don't tend to do, you know, a wash of this and then a wash of that. So in terms of my classical training, I never really did painting, which sounds really weird, but I'm hoping to get a lot better at it. But yeah, I always did pencils and graphic design and sculpture. Those are my like three things that I'm like, I can do these. But painting and like how paint works and how it interacts with the paper and how, you know, to do techniques with it isn't something that I'm super knowledgeable about. So I'm trying to get better and trying to work towards, you know, doing cool things. And this channel has actually really helped me, even though it's only been around for 5 weeks. Has really helped me with my production. I've been making more art than ever, and I'm really excited about that, and it's kind of all I want to do. So I hope you guys enjoy this, and I hope you guys want to see more, because I'm gonna make more, because it's really good for me. I hope you guys had fun today. Please like and subscribe if you want to see more from me. Bye!